Hi, everyone.
Hello,
My name is Diana Bird,
and I'm Anthony Epps.
and today we want to talk to you about printing your photos. This is a very, very important part of photography.
This is the penultimate phase in the creation of your artwork. Is actually getting a print and holding it in your hand, and not having to stare at a screen. I suppose the ultimate last phase of your photography is actually getting it framed and putting it on the wall, so for all to admire it. But the practice of actually holding your picture in your hand and being able to look at it real closely without the phosphorus burning your face like you would in a screen allows you to see the detail and the depth that's available, that the image will look its best at. And I get the most pleasure out of my photography when I'm printing, and when I've made a good print and it's on display. I mean, that is just
It's such an exciting
that's just the
experience.
bee's knees when it comes to photography. We're not talking about exhibitions, which is awesome, but the actual production and holding your print and looking at it as it should be looked at. I know that sounds old school, but that's what photography is. It has been reduced to the best
Sorry,
way to
we lost you there for a second.
don't even know if this is going live now. The best way to look at photographs is to hold it in your hand and examine it and detail it and admire it that way. Wouldn't you say, Di?
Absolutely.
I mean, Di's been to loads of my exhibitions, and they're just the highest energy points in anything I do, And when you got people there going, well, and there's a buzz around your work, and that can only happen. Can you imagine if you had an exhibition, it was just like TV monitors?
Yeah.
Everything was like in display, slideshows. It'd be like, oh. But when you have a print that has depth and has clarity and visceral contrast, that's quite profound it's a quite profound thing to do for your work.
So I suppose there are two main reasons to print your images. And the first is a very practical reason, and the second is more of an artistic reason, a creative reason.
What's the practical reason?
Well, there are two things which I didn't realize, but there are two practical reasons why you should always be printing your images. And one of them is your files are never totally safe. There is
Fair enough.
Is it called bit rot?
Bit rot, yeah.
Just because it's stored on a computer does not mean that it's totally safe. And so you should always have the option. Well, you should always have your images stored in two different places, first
three.
But to print them as well, you then have that physical copy. They will never disappear into the ether.
Most printers now, like you can buy an Epson or Canon printer, will have archival inks, and if you put it on the right paper, which most paper is archival, you spend a little bit extra dosh and you get some archival paper. Those prints, if they're stored correctly in a cool, dry place, can last 200 years without fading, right? Digital rot, most hard drives, there's external hard drives, SD cards, they got about a guaranteed or maximum lifespan of about 5 years. And then they might go corrupt, or they might mechanically break down. They're not infallible. I have not lost a drive yet, or not a single file, and I still back everything up in triplicate, and
that's very important.
I don't slack off on that, because that's my life, right?
So it's important because of your files, but also software changes all the time. Now maybe it changes in a slower moving time frame, but you think back 20 years to what you were using to what you're using now.
Yeah.
And if you look at the old floppy disks and all that kind of stuff, you can't get
anybody remember jazz drives? Yeah, nobody remembers jazz drives. I had
please say hello if you're joining us. We're talking about printing your images.
Yeah.
And tell us where you're calling from.
I don't know if anybody remembers jazz drives, but I used to have a room full of those things, and they're absolutely useless now. I don't even And if you don't keep up with the technology, or even the file formats, you know, like the NEF for Canon, the CR2 for
Claudia.
for Canon, you know, they're pretty consistent. But what happens, you know, if some company goes bust? How long is that? How long is that file proprietary file format gonna last? I mean, that's why Adobe tried to standardize everything and make the DNG file, you know, which was like the universal standard. All RAW files are going to be DNG. It's digital negative, what it stood for. It's pretty good, but a lot of people use it, but it hasn't become like a standard, you know. And who knows how long Adobe's going to be around to, you know, to support that. So printing is yours. You just need a cool, dark place to store it, and you have those for, you know, if you do it properly,
Millennia.
200 years. Not millennia, but you know, 200 years.
Which I think is enough,
Millennia.
right? That's enough.
Yeah.
We can pass it at least down to the next generation.
The best ink prints, the most archival ink prints, probably on a polyester-based paper like the Fuji Super Gloss or the Ilford Ilfochrome, have a shelf life of about 500 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, and that's not stored on the wall with lights on it. That's like in a box, you know, at the right temperature, right?
So that's interesting. What happens then if you put it on a wall?
Well, the life of it goes down. All prints will fade over time, right? But that's why you make them archival. Use the right inks and the right paper. They're just going to last longer.
Oh, Claudia says, I still have thousands of slides.
Oh, that's a lot of scanning.
Are you scanning them, Claudia, and printing them, or just storing them?
You know, I never really shot chrome film. We called it chrome back then, or slide film. And I always shot negative because I like to print. With slides, it was much more, it wasn't an easy process to print. You couldn't like go to a lab. You would have to have it sent away and done. Yeah.
You've scanned them, but the quality is not good.
That's the thing. I mean, to get your slides scanned properly, it's mucho dinero. You know, you can't have them just go through a machine.
Can't you do it yourself?
You can, but you want to do something like that. I mean, if you want good quality scans, and you need good equipment. You can't really do superb quality scans on any kind of desktop software or hardware,
so you would
unless
go
you spend
to
thousands and thousands of pounds. Yeah, you got to go to a professional photo bureau and have those guys drum scan it or laser scan it now, whatever they do.
Right.
Yeah, but it's expensive to do yourself.
Hi,
you know?
Nick.
Especially if you have, hey, Nick Kareem's in the
We're in Spain
house.
talking about printing your photos.
Yeah, and the value of actually, you know, having something tactile in your hand. I was discussing with Don. He's like, okay, what is one of the coolest things about having a print? And I remember when I used to print in LA quite a bit, you know, my own work when I was working in the lab, and getting the print and just really looking closely at it. I miss that, just like, you know, where you could smell the paper and you're just inches away and you're looking at the fine detail, the blades of grass and the bird feathers and the detail in the tree, and, you know, just really looking at it. And it's like you don't get that experience anymore. It's different when you're 2 feet away from a screen and you zoom 100%, yeah, and then you're seeing the detail really big, but you're still not close to it, you know? It's not an experience with that image.
Pleasure,
yeah. You don't want to get romantic about it, but there is a bit of romance to it.
I think there is some. I think we can get romantic about prints.
I don't want to.
It's almost like is like a kind of porous feeling when you look at all the way that the colour is absorbed in the paper. Yeah. And I mean,
the depth. The depth is something you don't get on a 72 DPI screen, right?
Yes, Nick, we'll be in Spain in September. Apart from when Anthony's in Istanbul.
In Istanbul. You should come see me in Istanbul, Nick.
Oh, but you're in Goa now. Wow, fantastic.
Still in Goa. Oh my God. Sorry we never came to see you. We had planned to go to Goa, remember? We ended up here.
We ended up in Spain.
We couldn't get the kids to travel very far.
Yeah, and so we've talked about the practical side of printing, why you should do it because of, you know, hardware and software failures and changes in things.
As a means of storage backup. It's a very practical way to do it. But that's not the most important reason you should print.
Yvonne says, finding a quality printer is a challenge. I'm still looking for someone to print my photos on quality paper.
I think, getting a really good quality printer is not like a financial burden. I mean, you spend 150 euros, 150 pounds on an Epson or a Canon printer, A4 size, and you're going to get good quality images, no doubt about it.
Yvonne, are you talking about printing it yourself or having someone print them for you? Because there are a lot.
A quality printer. You mean like a print shop?
Yeah.
Well, I can give you some recommendations in London. Yeah, I mean, if you're serious about your photography, you don't want to go. There's Snappy Snaps.
I don't know if that's a global brand.
Snappy Well, I'm just saying in the UK there's Snappy Snaps. There's your corner shop guys who will do, an A4 print for €3, right? And you take your file in there, and they do no color correction, they do no sharpening, they just output it, straight from your card to their printer, and that's it. And when you go to a professional photo lab, you got the guys who will look at your image, assess it, look to see you've done everything right, and then output it with color changes or color corrections and sharpening, and they'll do everything right. And it's night and day, the quality difference. What do you mean printing for me, Yvonne?
Oh, so somebody printing for you.
Oh, printing for you, yeah.
Yeah, but you can send your images away, and have them delivered.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be professional photographers in Santiago. I would just find out where they get their work done and go there. It'll cost you probably a little bit more than the corner shop printer, but it'll be worth it. You're going to be able to go in there, talk to the printer, and tell them what you expect the image to look like, and you'll get it. Yeah, it's a bespoke service. So
if she can't, and for lots of people who don't have access to amazing printers, we can also put some links in, because we obviously print and ship Anthony's images all over the world, so we can put in our recommendations of the printers that we use that will do. I mean, we're in Spain, and when somebody orders a print from us, it gets printed in London and shipped off. So
yeah, I've got the new people I've been using, and they're really great.
We've got a few.
I don't want to name
people.
drop right now.
Most professionals print in the US and ship. Yeah, well, that probably will be even easier.
Yeah, or the UK. There's the printspace.co.uk. They're amazing. They're really, in the last 5 years, they've just exploded, and they do super good quality work. I'm testing them out right now, and I think they're great. And they ship all over the world.
If you want to learn to,
you just upload your files, and that's it. Yeah.
Your own images. I know this is Anthony does teach printing. Obviously, you have to do it in person, and we have added a series of printing workshops to our photography retreat, because it's so challenging for so many people to learn how to print in this.
Can I just say about printing? Like, if you have an RGB printer, desktop printer sitting in your house, it's not so simple as to go from Photoshop or Lightroom to that printer and expect the colors you see on the screen. It's not that easy. It's a real technical process, and there's a lot of knowledge you have to have there. I mean, I don't want to mention what that is today, because we could go on for hours talking just about how to go from, color calibration of your monitor and your printer, to using ICC files that match your bureau, the ink and paper combinations that you need to get, ICC files for. It can get really, really complicated, and I think most of it will go over your head if you're not familiar with it. But it is possible to learn. It is possible, and that's what I'm going to demonstrate in oral that week. Is we're going to go out and shoot and we're going to color correct, and we're going to make beautiful A3 prints as we go along, and that's going to be exciting.
That's going to be great, because now we can talk about the romance of printing the images.
I just want to answer the next question. Do you think iPhone pics are making us lazy? Do smartphone pics, I'm not going to say branded iPhone, say smartphone pics making us lazy? No, I just think they're, I gotta say, I think smartphones are probably making us pay more attention to the world around us, because everybody's got a camera and you've got to notice things to take pictures of. I'm not saying that stuff is interesting. I'm just saying they're probably the opposite of making us visually lazy, probably making us more attuned to the world around us.
But you know what is also, I think, a little bit heartbreaking about smartphones is that if you know, most of the time when you're looking at something wonderful, you know, your kids, I mean, a wonderful experience for us would be our 2 children hugging. I mean, that would be like, you know, oh my God, we've got to record this on camera.
Yeah, good luck with that.
A wonderful, wonderful moment. We'd be instantly,
a rare moment,
you know, going for our camera.
It's like seeing Bigfoot. Hi, Hannah.
When you're always sort of like thinking about your phone when a beautiful moment happens, you're not remembering that, you're not experiencing that moment. And also studies have shown that if you just watch the experience, you remember it so much clearer, because it's almost like by taking out your camera, it becomes oh well, I've recorded that, I don't, you know, you kind of don't pay so much attention because you're not trying to absorb the whole
experience. I've heard that before.
So I think it's, you know, a little bit, I think you need to not record everything and photograph everything, but
what I say is you get really good at photography, right? You get really good at the technical, so you go, oh, and you capture it in like 30 seconds, you got a smashing good image, and then you enjoy yourself. But get that shot. Because I was out on the kayaks with my friends a couple weeks ago, and you know, didn't have a wet bag, so I didn't even bring my phone. I had no camera with me, and we paddled out, and hundreds of dolphins, you know, splashing around us. And the other lady in the kayak, she had her little phone, and I was trying to direct her. Take a picture, make sure you get some video, make sure you get some stills.
That probably wasn't annoying at all.
No, I mean, I was not being, I'm just saying, man, I wish I had my camera in a moment like that, you know? Everybody's like, and all my colleagues are like, at least you have the memories. I'm like, oh.
But the shot.
Yeah, sure.
Shot. Yeah.
I've got memories, but I've also got some really amateurish pictures, you know? Very grateful for those, because they were the only ones, but man, I just can't get out of my head what I would have got if I had my camera with me.
Okay, so that's the photographer speaking and the non-photographer speaking. I'm all about experience, you know, let's just...
Get the shot.
Yeah.
Get the shot.
So, we've talked about just how wonderful it is when you have an image, the feeling of holding it in your hands, the feeling of giving it to somebody, the feeling of hanging it on your wall. What I was also fascinated by is that when you print your image, the light that hits the paper, this is what Anthony told me, is different to the light. The image changes because of the way that the light hits the paper versus the light hits the screen. Yeah, well, you know,
everything is on a screen. It's all backlit, right? So it's being projected into your eyes kind of evenly, whereas light that hits a print is reflected off the print, and it seems more accurate. It's more sharp, and you get a better visual experience from a print than you do a screen, even a high-res screen, you know? It's just more, it's more analog. I don't know, it's more liquid. It feels more, what's a better word than natural? Natural, it's just more natural light. It's more, it's just a better viewing experience with the light coming off the print, because the light will give it the...
Completely superior experience.
Yeah. If you've never, hey
Hi.
Chitty, how are you doing? If you've never printed your work, and I'm not going to say, you know, if you've never had quality prints of your work done, I recommend just picking an image you really love, making it look really nice, you know, in your post software or whatever, and spending a few bucks making a nice A3 of it. get it back from the lab, or go into the lab and work with the person, and pay a little bit more for a bespoke alive. Thank you, Yvonne. Pay a little bit more for a bespoke service so you can see the process of printing, and the results you get will blow you away.
Yeah.
You'll be like, wow, how come I've never done this before? I swear to God, you will say that. How come I've never printed my work before? And those of you who have printed, and have stopped, the experience has not changed. It's still just as visceral, still as alive.
Yeah.
Getting that beautiful print.
And I love what you said, Yvonne, more alive. It does feel more alive, because when you have a print hanging in your house, in the morning it's going to look different to in the evening. It's going to have different qualities, and
it's true.
It's also a window into a completely different place and time. And when it's your print, I think it gives you such a sense of achievement. I think it's a beautiful thing to look through prints.
Yeah, and there's also, I own a few prints from photographers that I've bought, and they're very special images to me. I saw them online, and I said, that, I know the feeling I'm going to get from that print when I see it on my wall. Fortunately, they're in storage right now, but I get those out someday again and get those feelings back.
Yeah.
It's just, there's some images you just adore, and you have to have them as prints on your wall.
I think one of the other points we wanted to make was about how when you print consistently, or you do a few prints and then the next year you might do some more, and the next year you might do some more, it really helps to see your development as a photographer, because you're never going to have the amount of prints that you will have on your computer. So you've got these select images, and you can see the development that you go through. And we heard about a lovely story, Elliot Erwitt, the way that he picks the pictures for his book is that he'll have his assistant lay out all the images on the floor, and then he goes on a ladder and he looks down at the images, and that's how he starts to build a story with his images. And we've done that with your exhibitions, haven't we?
I've got lots of photographers that do
together.
that.
And it's so beautiful to see all the different images, and you forget, that you've taken all the different images that you've taken, and going back through your archives. It doesn't take long to build an incredible archive of images.
Yeah, we do that for layout purposes, and also for narrative.
But I think that really does help give you a sense of achievement.
Any last things you want to say about?
Does anybody have any other questions about printing, or any questions? Any more questions about printing? As we mentioned earlier, we will be Anthony will be teaching printing at our photography retreat. This is the final part of photography that is such an exciting
penultimate part.
Penultimate part.
Yeah.
Of,
I consider framing and putting it on the wall the final part.
Okay.
Right.
And so we will have a printer with us at the photography retreat, and Auntie will be working with the group.
I'm the printer. She means like the actual thing that spits out the paper.
Working with everybody to get their images, teaching them how to get their images print ready, and then the whole process of producing the image and ending up with a really incredible portfolio that you can take away with you and will be yours forever. And Auntie is an incredibly skilled printer.
I printed for Helmut Newton.
And many other photographers.
David LaChapelle.
When Auntie
Mary
was
Ellen
at
Mark.
school,
Not Mary Ellen. Ellen von Unworth. I printed for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Anthony was studying.
What other name can I drop?
In
Helmut
Santa
Newton.
Barbara.
Helmut Newton. I printed for Helmut Newton.
When you were at school in Santa Barbara, you got a job as a printer, didn't you? Back in the.
I printed professionally for 8 years.
Yeah. When you were getting started.
In high
as
volume
a
labs, commercial labs, fashion labs in LA. I mean, I got my chops printing in Los Angeles in really high pressure studios, and I have a degree in color theory and the zone system, black and white zone system.
Yeah.
Very
very technical.
I know my stuff.
Very skilled. And I'm sure you'll make it very easy for people to understand who aren't necessarily very technical.
Can I just say one more thing about, if you own a desktop RGB printer, which when I say RGB, that's like your Epson or your Canon sitting on your desk, don't expect your first print to be great, right? You're gonna have to make, this is just how printing goes. You're gonna burn a lot of paper. That's a term in the commercial printing world, is that you just burn paper. You burn paper, and it seems kind of wasteful, but you're gonna get 5-6 prints in, and you're gonna go, wow, that's the one. So don't expect to get it on your first try.
5 or 6, maybe at the beginning, 20 or 30.
Yeah.
Give yourself a lot of paper.
Yeah. Don't
Well,
expect it on the first one.
We will be doing other printing workshops, Yvonne, in other parts of the world. If there's anywhere else that you can get to, we're going to weave it into some of the other workshops that we do.
She can't come.
Thank you so much for joining us. If you have any other questions about printing, put them in the comment box. We love answering your questions, and thank you for joining us. And if you'd like to learn about printing as well as many other aspects of photography, join us in Arles for our photography retreat next month.
Yeah, if you have any questions about printing, just put them in the comments in this video.
I think I might have said that.
Did you?
Yeah.
I was listening.
My husband's always listening to me.
I always listen.
It's great. Please think about going to San Miguel de Allende in Mexico. Wow.
Yeah.
That would be very exciting.
We were going to go to Mexico.
Something happened. I can't remember.
We landed
but
in
we
Spain
could still
first.
we could still get to Mexico. I could speak my very basic, terrible Spanish in Mexico.
We have to go now before she starts speaking Spanish. Okay, thanks for
I'm
watching,
learning.
everybody.
I'm learning.
You are.
Thank you. Bye.
Ciao.